When we think that there is something wrong with us, we make mistakes all the time, over and over again. We think we don't look good enough, we're not intelligent enough, we're not just enough for the world. And I found myself in a place where all this was the case for me a few weeks ago, and I had phases in my life where this wasn't the case. And you can live life without hate for any living being in the world, with love for any living being in the world. But I think it's only a possibility for you when you find love for you. And when you want love for the world and for other people, you have to deeply love the pure you. And when you don't want hate for other people, I think we have to find a way to don't judge ourselves, to not hate ourselves in a way, and to just know we are enough, we look good enough, and we are smart enough and just good enough for the world. When you find yourself making mistakes over and over again, and maybe just the same mistake over and over again, and you feel like you're in a circle of not, you cannot break out of, and when there are people judging you because of this mistake, and of course of because they see this and they judge you and they see it's there, it has to be reality and it has to be me, there has to be something wrong with me. It all comes down on our ego. When someone judges you on how you look, you don't look good, what are you wearing today again, we think that there we think it's us, we think there's something wrong with us and with ourselves, with our pure core selves, but it's just our ego that gets punched on every time. And it's just when you think you're not good enough, when you think you made this mistake because there's something wrong with you, you just it's just your ego that is getting hurt all the time. We have this identity in front of us, which is our ego. It can get pushed. You can get a nice compliment and it feels good, but you can get hurt and it don't feel good. And we really think our ego is our whole identity. And when you think there is from the core, from your pure self, from birth on, something wrong with you, you're wrong. There's nothing wrong with you. When you forget things all the time and you do this over and over again, and people tell you uh, how bad this is, there's nothing wrong with you. When you look in the mirror and you don't like what you see, and people tell you you don't look good, when you think you're not smart enough for the world, and you think you're not good enough, and you think there's something wrong with you because of this, because you're not as good as other people around you, there is nothing wrong with you. Nothing. It's just your ego standing in the way, and your ego is there. And you have to understand that I have ego. The most conscious person you ever saw has ego. Every person in the world has ego. And you can learn how to deal with this. I really think ego is just there to protect ourselves and to find a way how we see ourselves, to build our identity. And you can build your whole identity just with your ego, and you can really think that this is you, your ego is you. But when our ego is just gets hurt, gets shattered, there's nothing, there's there isn't much left anymore, right? I really believe that the real core, pure you, is just there is no ego. Your real identity has nothing to do with ego. You can throw your ego out the way. It's there, and I maybe it always will be there. And you can learn how to deal with this. And as you grow, your ego will grow. And as your ego grows, you can learn to deal with this and you can grow. But when your ego gets hurt, you can always know that it's not you. We just start to live life as a child, as a teenager, and we get traumatized in our youth. And this is where ego comes into play, and we think that this is our true identity only because our ego got hurt, and we think this is reality, but from the core, from our birth on, there was nothing wrong. And especially when people tell you, when you made a mistake, maybe when you was a child, and they tell you that this is wrong or you're not right because of this mistake, you really start to believe this. Just because you met the wrong person at the wrong time, and you really start to build your identity around this, and your identity, let's say you're forgettable and you forget things too much, and people tell you there's something wrong with you, why are you forgetting things all the time, and you start to build your identity around this because your ego gets hurt, and your ego is a part of your identity, and you really start to think that this is real. That's why you're in this circle where you can't get out of, and because you think that's you, but it's not you. Okay, you're not forgettable, you're not the mistakes you do. That's not how it works. You never was. Okay, you just met the wrong people, and it's just trauma. It's your ego. It's as a child, you don't know what this is. You can't fight this. Once you learn to throw ego out the window because we don't need this, your ego cannot get hurt anymore. When there is no ego, it it cannot be get hurt. And when people judge you, it just has simply no effect on you, no emotional effect. Okay, when someone gives you nice compliments and when someone pushes you, you don't make more out of it than it really is. When someone says you look good today, when my ego was too big and someone complimented me, I really said to myself, "Oh, I'm the fucking guy. That's it." Yes, but I made more out of this than it really was. Just a random person said I look good. It's nice, okay, and you can appreciate that, but it's not more. You're not the fucking greatest guy in the world because of this, okay? And when you have ego, you might think this, but when you don't have ego, you can appreciate it and it's nice, but it's not more, okay? And it's important too, and you can be selfless. You can live selfless when you have no ego. And when you have no ego, the greatest thing about this is that you cannot feel hate or jealousy for other people. There's only love, okay? Because in your pure self, the pure core you only feels love for other people, okay? There is no hate. I found myself in a place the last few weeks where there was jealousy and there was a little bit of hate, and I asked myself, how can I find a way to kill this? I don't want to feel this. I don't want to feel negative feelings towards other people. It's just a degree of suffering I don't want in my life. when you have no ego, when you love yourself, when you know exactly that with your pure self is nothing wrong, absolutely nothing, and you are good enough, okay? You look good enough, you are intelligent enough, you are just good enough for the world, for other people. It doesn't matter if sometimes the situations will come where we see another person that in this situation looks better than us, acts more intelligent than us, but we know we are enough anyways. It's just you can appreciate this and you can learn from them and you can compliment them with no jealousy and no hate, okay? Because you exactly know that you're good enough and you know that you just something special for yourself. You love yourself and you can learn to love yourself even if you have a day where you don't find yourself beautiful when you look in the mirror. You can love yourself even when you made a dumb mistake because every person you know, the most conscious people in the world, they make dumb mistakes sometimes. But like I said in my previous videos, how it's just not how many mistakes you make. It's just not if you make mistakes or not, because everyone makes mistakes. It's just how are you dealing with this, okay? And you can love yourself. Yeah. The things we always think, or the things our ego thinks are bad for us, even if they are there, you can love yourself. And even when you made a fucking mistake, when you forgot something, or when you said something wrong, something uncomfortable, you can always know that that's a part of life, okay? You cannot live life without making mistakes. You cannot live life without looking into the mirror someday and not liking what you see. It's just a part of life. You cannot live life without sometimes thinking that you're not as good as other people, but you can deal with this. And I really believe without ego, you cannot get hurt. These negative situations, getting judged, making mistakes, have simply no effect on you anymore because you love yourself anyways. And through loving yourself, you only have love for other people, no hate, no jealousy, and it's just a better place to be in. And I always imagine my future, how it looks, and I imagine beautiful kids, a healthy relationship to my wife, and maybe a nice place to be on, a nice country to live in. These are just the pictures I have in my mind. The feeling I have is more important, I think. That the when you imagine your dream future, don't think about the things you see in your mind, think about the feelings you have. And I think the feelings are just love and open-hearted feelings and emotions and open-hearted relationships, to be accepted as you are, to be loved as who you really are without ego. When you live without ego, you only get people, you only give people the chance to love the real pure you when there's no ego in the way. And when I see my dream future, I clearly see people who love me for myself as who I really are. Not just accept me, but love this, even when I make mistakes. They see me forget something, they see me set something uncomfortable, they see me even when I'm not at my best, when I'm staring into the mirror and don't like myself, I want people around me that love me anyways. The same as I can love myself all the time. But you can only give people the chance to love the real you when there's no ego in the way. And it's the same thing when you turn it. You want to be the partner, or for me it's the case. In my future, I want to be the partner, the kind of partner, the kind of family member that accepts my loved ones or love my loved ones as they are. Okay, I see their core, their pure selves, and even when they make mistakes, I want to have their backs. Okay, when they are not at their best, when they do look in the mirror and they don't like what they see, when they made something uncomfortable, when they said something uncomfortable, and when they have days where they just don't like themselves, I want to have their backs, and I want to just love them anyways. Okay, it's so important. When I see my future, I just imagine open-hearted feelings, open-hearted relationships, where you can talk to your loved ones about anything in the world, and you don't have to be you don't have to be ashamed of any single thought or emotion in your mind or in your heart, because it doesn't matter what you think of, how you feel, it gets accepted. Okay, and I think this is so important. But we have to, in order to get this, we have to just give people the chance. When you have ego in your way all the time, and when you think this is you, and when you think you need to protect yourself all the time, and when you fear of when you fear talking about your emotions to other people, when you think talking about your emotions is weak, and they can when you fear that they can see you as weak, and when you just want to be someone you're not truly are, when you see yourself as your ego and just want to get ego pushes, you just I don't think that to we block ourselves from having these deep relationships we always want. And I think that in their core and our pure selves, we always want just to be loved for who we are, and we always want these deep relationships, but we have to be open for them. We have to give people the chance. I'm no doctor or anything. I'm just a guy who loves to think about this, who loves to talk about this. It helps me to talk about this. I love to do this, but it's important for you to know I'm no doctor or something, okay? I'm and when it comes to biology or something, I know how the brain works. I know what's going on in your heart, and but there's this religion called Buddhism, and the Buddha was just a guy like me, a guy like you, a guy like all of us, and he just sat under a tree and he made the same thoughts, and he just learned how to live a life without suffering, with positive emotions and with love. And I really think that you don't have to be some kind of doctor. I think you can live a emotionally healthy life, and you can be happy, and you can live in peace. You can live without suffering, with no hate, and with just love, without being a brain doctor. I don't know how to call it. And but just for you to know, I have no degree or something. I just I'm just me. I love doing this, okay? Um, it helps me so much to talk about this on a deeper level, and I know that many people don't have someone to talk about such stuff, about their emotions, about their feelings, but it's so important. Um, when you're like this, when you don't have anyone to talk about your feelings, when you would like to talk to someone about this, you can book a link. You can book a call. There's a link. There's a link in the description. You can book a call with me, and you have the option to talk to me. And when you don't have anyone to talk to, you have me. I'm there, and I'm all the time. I'm there. Okay, and yeah, it would be nice because I know how important this is, and I know how much I can learn and how much we can improve through just talking about emotions and about feelings and about ourselves, about other people, about love. You can improve so much through this, and yeah, I would be happy to talk to you. I hope this is understandable in a way what I'm talking about, and my goal is not to be a teacher and to tell you have to think this way, you have to live life that way. I think you and your heart and your brain is by far powerful enough to build yourself a beautiful life with joy, without hate, and with love, and with loving yourself. But through watching videos like this or reading for example reading books about such topics, this can push us in the right direction of thoughts in our right mind to think about this. And I hope videos like this can push you a little bit. And I know exactly that your heart and your brain is by far powerful enough to do the rest.